Tennessee Titans training camp week is here, and I cannot wait to watch Cam Ward light it up. Let's get hype on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans. Today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. On today's show, we are going to get hype for Tennessee Titans training camp. I want to talk about the players I am most excited for this season. We'll talk about Cam Ward, some of these young weapons, some of the second-year jumps I want to see from some of the Titans' top players. Can't wait to dive into all of it with you guys. Before I do want to thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. You're not going to beat that anywhere else. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. I couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. Training camp starts this week. On tomorrow's show, we're going to look at the biggest questions heading into training camp. Then we're going to look at what we should expect in these first training camp practices, and then the Titans take the field on Wednesday, and I'll be here to break it down with you guys, everything that you need to know. But again, this is the number one Tennessee Titans podcast in the world and has been for multiple years running. You want to know why? Make sure that you get subscribed and stay subscribed. It's your team every day. With that being said, we have talked so much about the details, the ins and outs, all of the little stuff with Cam Ward. Hey, is he going to be able to make this adjustment? Hey, is he going to be able to catch up? Is he going to be able to calibrate his playmaking skill? Is he going to be able to, work in the deeper outside fields? Like all of the nitty gritty stuff, what he's going to be good at. But overall, I feel like I just want to take a moment and get back to the way that we felt right when Cam Ward was drafted. Just think about it. We could talk about, again, all of the minute details that he needs to work on and the progression with which he needs to take and what the expectations are for him in training camp. And that's what I plan to do before that first training camp practice. But, man, we get to watch Cam Ward play football. We get to watch Cam. Think about how excited you were about the Tennessee Titans drafting Cam Ward and feel that hype once again. Feel that we are about to watch. And listen. The naysayers are going to naysay. The haters are going to hate. We're going to hear it all. But think about what could be on our doorstep right now. Think about what this training camp could mean. Think about the journey that is about to begin with Cam Ward out there on the field in serious football practices that matter the most. Cam Ward can change this franchise. Cam Ward can finally be the franchise quarterback that we have been hoping for, that we have been waiting for, that we have been looking for. And again, I want to remind folks, Cam Ward has the potential here, not only to make the Tennessee Titans a good football team again, sure, but to change the entire way that the Tennessee Titans are viewed. I want to continue to go back to, and I know that the comparisons, maybe some people are sick of them because of how close everything looks. But look at the Bengals and Joe Burrow right now. Look at the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Think about the Cincinnati Bengals before they got Joe Burrow. Yeah, they had some good years with Carson Palmer a long time ago. They had some good years with Andy Dalton where nobody really took them seriously. But they had some good players on those teams. Like the Titans, the Bengals had some good teams. You go all the way back to the early 90s. They had a Super Bowl appearance against the San Francisco 49ers, which they lost. But again, there is some success in the history. But more often than not, when people talked about the Cincinnati Bengals, they were a freaking joke. And trust me, I am from the Cincinnati Bengals fan area, okay? Not from Cincinnati, but most of the NFL fans by me are Bengals fans. So I know their history and how their fans felt and how they're talked about because I'm around it constantly and I know. Now, With Joe Burrow, the Bengals are looked at totally different. Now, they've had these financial issues that they're continuing to go through. But the reality is the way that people view the Bengals, the stature of the franchise, how excited people are to watch them play, how often they're going to get primetime opportunities, how excited other people are to talk about that team nationally, locally, other fan bases, just the excitement level, the respect level, all of it is just infinitely higher for the Bengals now than it ever was for 30 years of my life because of Joe Burrow. Cam Ward can be that for the Titans, and that is where we are about to go. Think about what could happen out there this year. With Cam Ward's playmaking ability, the excitement factor of Cam Ward's game. Again, it's not just being good. You can be good and be boring. We saw that with Ryan Tannehill. The Titans were way more exciting than they were normally, but they got treated like the Andy Dalton Bengals. That's how Ryan Tannehill's Titans got treated, like the Andy Dalton Bengals. Now it's time to take that step up where it's like, oh yeah, they're a good team. No, oh, the Titans are sick. Yeah, I love watching the Titans. Joe Burrow's nasty. Jamar Chase, blah, blah, blah. That's a fun team to watch. That's the level of respect and how I want people to talk about the Tennessee Titans. And Cam Ward has the ability to not only make the team good, but get them there. And let's be honest, there are going to be some people in my comments, there are going to be some people who say, I don't care about that, just win football games. I'm sorry, but the experience of being an NFL fan, the experience of being a sports fan is bigger than just whether they win the games. It's the debates, it's the articles, it's the rankings, it's the excitement, it's the conversation online, it's talking with your buddies about what guys can do. It's watching Locked On Titans and hearing the conversation. It's watching Locked On NFL and hearing how people talk about the Titans, watching all the big national shows during the season, watching the pregame shows when the team plays, having your quarterback drafted and barely being talked about. I want all of that to end too. Yes, if the Titans won the Super Bowl but were drastically undercovered, I would not be mad. I don't care. We won the Super Bowl. But it's not that much to ask. I am not just a football fan because I like watching the games. I'm a football fan because I love the entire ecosystem, the debates, the conversation, the sitting down at a bar, having a beer. You don't know the dude next to you. There's a little football on TV and you say, oh man, yeah, I loved that guy when he was in college. Oh dude, I'm from this school, SEC, baby. Who you got tonight? I got a little bit on the money line. The whole ecosystem of football that makes you a fan is what matters, not just the games. So heck yeah. I want Cam Ward to not only win the Titans football games and be a great player, but to totally fundamentally change the way the Tennessee Titans are viewed as a football team. And that is exactly where this can go. And we are at the doorstep of that beginning. I could not be more excited about what Cam Ward can be as a player right now and what Cam Ward can mean for this franchise. Let's all hope that it goes that way. But with that being said, Cam Ward is not the only player that I am excited to watch and look for in training camp. Let's talk a little bit about these young weapons. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Summer sports are in full swing. Whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the greens, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, folks. Why not make it just a little more thrilling with FanDuel? You can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I love using FanDuel first and foremost. Every day, new daily promotions, always fresh ways to bet. It's easy to bet. It's fast to pay out. It makes every regular season game feel like a must-watch event. I love the same game parlays. Love tracking the same game parlays on FanDuel. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. This is an ad by BetterHelp. Workplace stress is at an all-time high, as I would know as we're about to go into training camp. 61% of the global workforce is reporting higher than normal stress levels. This summer is a perfect time to take small steps to focus on your wellness and manage the challenges that come with your workday. Of course, most of us can't just quit our jobs to take endless vacations, but we can start small, whether it's getting outside for a few minutes, adding movement into our day, or talking to someone who can help you navigate life's challenges, and that's where BetterHelp comes in. I love BetterHelp because it allows you to set healthy boundaries at work so that stress doesn't kind of spill all over onto the rest of your life. You've got to make sure that you have a balance, and online therapy with BetterHelp is flexible, so it makes it easy to fit into a busy schedule. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/LockedOn. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, talking about what I am most hyped for in training camp. Obviously, spent an entire section talking about Cam Ward, what he can mean for this franchise. So excited. Now, I'm going to get into my expectations for Cam Ward as these first couple of training camp practices happen this week. That'll be my Tuesday night show, Wednesday morning, getting you ready for the first training camp practice on Wednesday for the Titans. On tomorrow's show, I'm going to be doing my biggest questions still remaining for the Titans as they head into training camp. Now, do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Your team every day here on the Locked On Titans podcast. But these young weapons, man. Like, how could you not be so excited for these young weapons? And here's the thing. What makes it so exciting is that we really don't know. We really don't know. I can tell you. I can sit up here and tell you, I think Elic Ayomanor is going to have a huge impact right away because I don't think the Titans have a lot of people who can play the X wide receiver position to the level that he can. I can sit here and tell you that I think Gunnar is going to be tight end one. He is going to have the most tight end snaps. He's going to make a huge impact right away. I could sit here and tell you I think Xavier Restrepo is a lock. He's a lock to make this team. I could tell you how I feel all I want and what I think is going to happen and how I think these things are going to play out, but we don't know. That's the intrigue. That is what makes things exciting, is we simply do not know who is going to step up, who is going to be able to carve out a role in the starting roster, who is going to be the most effective, how many of these young wide receiver / tight end rookie offensive weapon, how many of these guys are actually going to pop? Can all four of them be very important right away? Think about it. Again, Elic Ayomanor. That is, let me rank who I'm most excited for with these guys. And number one is, like I was just saying, I spoiled Elic Ayomanor. And I just remind you guys that his skill set is exactly what the Tennessee Titans don't have. They don't have the big physical X receiver on the outside that wins contested catches and could be a go ball guy. And like I talked about yesterday, my personal football philosophy is I want guys who can go up and get it when they're not open. Okay, and Elic Ayomanor can do exactly that. That is exactly what he is positioned to do, and he is one of the only guys on the Titans who has a skill set who can do that. We could sit here and say Treylon Burks. And yeah, in theory, Treylon Burks should have been the big physical X wide receiver that can win contested catch situations with his size and his strength and his athleticism, but that didn't happen, and it ain't happening. All right, so you would say, oh, Treylon Burks can be the X. Get that out of my face. All right, X that out of my face. Van Jefferson is really the only other guy that I think gives significant threat to Elic Ayomanor at the X wide receiver position. And that's simply because Van Jefferson is 6'1", over 200 pounds with some speed. He's a decent blocker. Like, he's a guy who can play the X, but Ayomanor has so much more potential. with his route running ability, the smooth way that he moves across the field at his size, the contested catch winning ability. Like, he just has more pop to his game, obviously, than a guy like Van Jefferson. So that would be, in terms of hype rankings, Elic Ayomanor is number 1 for me. But number 2 for me, again, is Gunnar Helm. Like, I know a lot of people are very, 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 very excited about Xavier Restrepo, and you should be. I'll get to him in a second. But I think Gunnar Helm can make a way bigger impact than Xavier Restrepo, not only in year 1, but long term. I think the Titans have not had the true number 1 tight end since Delaney Walker. Jonnu Smith was good, but Jonnu Smith was never, in my opinion, a good enough blocker. I mean, I guess he's your tight end 1, but I always wanted, like I feel with Chigakonkwo, I always thought Jonnu Smith was much better in that H-back role, that move tight end role, that F tight end role, off the line of scrimmage, not the classic Y tight end who's got his hand in the dirt next to it. I always thought Jonnu Smith and Chigakonkwo would be better as a number 2 tight end. They weren't that classic big Y tight end like a David Njoku or a George Kittle or a Trey McBride. You know what I mean? Like, or a Mark Andrews, for example. There are plenty that we could, Pat Fryermuth, TJ Hawkinson, Sam Laporta. I could keep going. The Titans haven't had that kind of tight end since, what, Algie Crumpler? The Frank Wycheck style tight end. Now, you got to have a little more receiving chops nowadays than Frank did, a little more wiggle than Frank did, but that versatile, do-it-all, no matter the situation, this guy is built to get it done. Gunnar Helm is that guy. So if the Titans can have that level of player for the next 5, 6, 7 years with Cam Ward, his true number 1 tight end that he can work with all the time, and no matter the situation, he can be out there, and it can slot a guy like Chigakonkwo into a more versatile, explosive role for the offense, and ultimately maybe make him more efficient as a player because he's in a more suitable role for him and not being asked to do things he clearly can't do. So Gunnar Helm's impact on the offense has been, honestly, Ayomanor and Helm are like tied at the top. They're like a 1A and 1B, if I'm honest, with how excited I am to see both of those guys play. Now, number 3 for me, though, is Xavier Restrepo. I think Restrepo is a guy who can move the chains. We know the connection with Cam Ward. I've been working on a little Cam Ward, Xavier Restrepo film video that I want to put out here in the first couple of weeks of training camp over on the Tic Tac Titans film channel. Can't wait to show you guys what I see there, obviously, but just Restrepo's utility. What we know that players like him can do. That sort of utility, it's so important on a football team. Is it the most important thing? No, probably not. But the Titans have been searching since Nick Williams to Adam Humphries to Kyle Phillips. Like, the Titans have been searching for that pure slot receiver, that chain mover, that quicker than fast, get open, secure hands, reliable guy. The Titans have been looking for that for so long, and they haven't been able to really nail it down. Adam Humphries had some good years, or a good year, really, and then fell apart. We know the Kyle Phillips experience didn't go the way they want, and Nick Williams might be one of the most hated guys in franchise history. If you know, you know. But Restrepo being able to fill that void, to finally fill that role for a team that's been searching for it. And not only for him to fill that role, but the chemistry and the connection that he has with Cam Ward and what that could mean for how quickly and how high the ceiling is for this connection. Incredible. But I will tell you this. I think that Ayomanor and Gunnar Helm, I'm more excited for them because I think they can be more impactful players for the Titans overall. Even though I think the impact of Xavier Restrepo will be huge, I think like Restrepo could be a good player for the Titans, a guy that they count on for years to come. But I think Ayomanor and Helm could be star-level players. I don't think superstar-level players. I don't think that Ayomanor is necessarily going to get to like, you know, Nico Collins, A.J. Brown level, but he could get to like Michael Pittman Jr. level, which top 30, top 35 wide receiver. And I think that would be excellent for the Titans. What a help that would be with Calvin Ridley slotted as the number 1. Then you have your Restrepo. And listen, we get to number 4. And I feel bad. But Chim Dike is my number 4. Now, I'm very excited to watch Chim Dike. I think he's going to be better than what people are expecting. Like, again, I have him 4th in the hype rankings. He could come out and be the most productive of these people, especially if he can get the punt returner and kick returner jobs. Then he's really got the ability to impact the game more than not. But I'm just curious to see what his deployment is. He's not a pure slot, but he played a lot of slot in college. Is he ready and physical enough after that in college to come out and play the Z on the outside? I don't know. He had a very limited route tree. How quickly can he advance his routes? That's what I want to see. So I guess I just have the most question marks about Chim Dike. I also want to mention 2 guys who I'm not as excited about, obviously, as the rookies, but I can't wait to see what they do. And it's Bryce Oliver going into year 2 and David Martin Robinson going into year 2 at tight end. Like, those 2 guys are not as exciting as the rookies, but also could have a big jump this year and turn into contributors for the Titans. Cannot wait to see that. Now, there are some guys on the defensive side of the ball that I can't wait to see in training camp. And then specifically, the 2 second-year players in J.C. Latham and T'Vondre Sweat. Cannot wait to watch them hopefully take that leap. Today's episode is brought to you by Rougiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiet Ready. Rougiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes, and the effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. Look, I love that it's completely online. Rougiet is going to connect you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. Head to Rougiet.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL to use the promo code LockedOnNFL and get 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiet website for full safety information. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Getting the hype for training camp. We talked about Cam Ward. We talked about the weapons that I want to see take a step forward. Now I want to talk about defense and these second-year players. Before I get into it, thanks again for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Tomorrow, biggest questions for the Titans heading into training camp. And then I'll have a training camp practice preview with expectations for Cam Ward and other players right before that first training camp practice happens on Wednesday, and then I'll be here to break it all down. But with that being said, obviously the second-year players I have my eye on. J.C. Latham needs to take a massive jump this year to be worth the number 7 overall pick and not be the wrong choice. After there were some other good offensive tackles that went right after J.C. Latham, the Titans better be proven right this year with his jump, and that starts in training camp. He should dominate people. Now, without the pads on, we keep our expectations pretty low and unmoved with the trench play. I'm not going to overreact to anything on the trenches while there isn't pads on, but right when the pads go on, I want to see J.C. Latham kicking people's tails. That's what he should be doing this year, especially the Titans have a bad edge rush group. He lost all that weight. He flipped the right tackle. He better be dominant once the pads come on in training camp. And T'Vondre Sweat, I bring this up again. I know I'm probably the worst person to do it, but Jim Wyatt from TennesseeTitans.com wrote that he thought T'Vondre Sweat looked just okay in a recent mailbag. And again, the team writers who were paid by the team for them to not do anything, to them to do anything other than shower praise. Makes you wonder. All right, so T'Vondre Sweat better be in great shape, and he better come out right away like a wrecking ball. This is a big year, too. The expectations that a lot of people in the fan base had for T'Vondre Sweat, he's got a long way to go before he hits those, and he needs to take a significant jump this year. If you think he's going to be a Vita Vea, Dexter Lawrence type of player, he's got a long way to go from what he was last year to that. He's got to take that big step in training camp. He should be dominating with, Zeitler and Corey Levin and Skoronski. If Sweat is the player that everybody thinks he's going to be, he's got to show it against them. He should be dominating players like that too. Not just, Peter Skoronski's real good. Yeah, he is, but, Peter Skoronski isn't Quentin Nelson. So T'Vondre Sweat better have his wins against players of that level. T'Vondre Sweat, at the ceiling of what everyone expected from him, he should be able to beat Quentin Nelson's. So, got to see it from Sweat and Latham early on in camp, especially when the pads come on for the trench guys. But staying on the defense, obviously Femi Oladipo, but with this contract situation and the second-round pick stuff, who knows if we're even going to get to see him early on in training camp, which I think would be a major detriment to the Tennessee Titans' ceiling as a team and Femi's development. But the inside linebacker battle, which we're going to talk more about tomorrow when we talk about camp battles, James Williams, Cedric Gray. Can't wait to see which one of those guys ascends. Kevin Winston needs to get back on the field. And then I'm looking at cornerback. The trio of young cornerbacks. Marcus Harris, who the Titans drafted. Gabe Jeudy-Lawley, the second-year undrafted free agent out of Tennessee. And Jermari Harris out of Iowa. I'm really excited to see which of those players can step up. Because the Titans, outside of their top four cornerbacks, they're taking on Aruaware, who's a veteran guy who maybe could hold them off. But I think the Titans want these young guys to step forward. And Harris, and Gabe Jeudy-Lawley, those are the guys that I'm watching for most. So let me know who you're excited about heading into Tennessee Titans training camp. I'll be back tomorrow with the biggest questions facing the team before they head into their first practice. With that being said, that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.